our broadcast for the night. Stay tuned for 60 Minutes next. Good night.
Good evening, I'm Steve Croft, and tonight on 60 Minutes we will be interviewing Andrew Carnegie and discussing his life. Good evening, Mr. Carnegie. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Mr. Croft. It's a pleasure to be here.
Why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Of course. I was born in Scotland, and at age 13 I moved to the United States and involved myself in factory work. Looking forward, I began a job at the telegraph company and soon held high-ranking offices. I then transferred to Pennsylvania Railroad Company. I worked as an assistant to the telegrapher, Mr. Thomas Scott, one of the railroad's top officials. I became very close with Mr. Scott and soon acquired much experience about the railroad industry, and then I was named superintendent 3 years later. However, during my stay at the railroad company, I began to make investments, especially in oil, which at the time was returning huge profits. I think it was 1865 or so when I left the railroad company and I turned my focus to the new Keystone Bridge Company. Just when I thought about retiring, a new industry happened to spark my interest. I was in England monitoring industry in steel when I saw its great potential to be an American industry. I started the Carnegie Steel Company, and my autonomous business model made me millions. Right during this time, I wrote The Gospel of Wealth, which was published in 1900. Then, in 1901, I decided to sell my company for $200 million. That's probably $3 billion in 2013. I dedicated the rest of my life to philanthropy. I donated $5 million to the New York Public Library System, donated money to start the Carnegie Mellon Institute. I created the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching in 1905. With my strong interest in peace, I even started the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace in 1910. I've made numerous donations, and I believe about 2,800 libraries were opened because of me.
Wow. After naming all these accomplishments, is there anything you regret about your life?
Well, you know, when I was drafted for the Union Army, I decided not to fight because I was working for the telegraph service, and instead of paying the government $300, I paid a replacement $850. So it does seem that that one time I did make a minor financial error.
Hopefully you won't make any future financial errors. Tell me a little more about your strengths and weaknesses.
Well, my investing skills are top-notch. For the first half of my life, my investments provided a high dollar yield for about 90% of my income. Also, I seem to have a quite good knack for predicting profitable companies and becoming a part of them. Telegraph, railroads, steel, oil were all very powerful. Perhaps my only weakness is my love of the community. As I've said before, I consider myself a philanthropist, and over the years I have donated a lot of money to the greater good of society.
What's the greatest lesson you have learned? What knowledge would you pass on to future innovators?
Well, you know, my story is that of a rags to riches tale. I was born in a lower caste family, and my father was a weaver. Even though my origins gave me little chance at financially successful life that I hold now, I refuse to let that deter me. A message to all those listening that if you believe that you can accomplish your dreams, you will. Never let any adversity come between you and success. And after you become so successful, remember where you came from. Give back to the community so that others just like you can accomplish their dreams too.
What an inspiring story from an inspiring individual. He started from the bottom. Now he's here.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here. I done kept it real from the jump. Living at my mama's house, we'd argue every month. I was trying to get it on my own.